That's right, folks. It's tournament time. Ladies and gentlemen, we have some tournament coverage where, yes, I'm finally playing. If you haven't caught up with the agency streams, which you should, by the way, because the agency streams are fire, I have been posting some tournament content the last couple of weeks. I was recently invited to join a $1,000 tournament. And, of course, I'm not turning that down. It was a Gen 9 through 7 OU tournament where every series is a best of 3 in those 3 generations. Pretty good at all 3. I figured, you know what? It's time to play. However, this tournament, it has some special rules to it. If you're looking in the bottom left, you can see my username is Blunder instead of the regular Blunder that I use. That's because this tournament is a tournament that you play with one of your buddies. So I asked my bro Star Master, I said, yo, do you want to play this? And he said, yeah, I'm down, bro. And so we teamed up, and that was that. So basically, the way this tournament worked is regular, just best of 3. You keep playing, you beat somebody, you go to the next stage. However, you're playing with your partner. So every game, me and my boy Star are talking either by chat or we're talking by call. This game, we talked by chat because he was on vacation, so he was overseas. He didn't have stable internet at all. In fact, his internet went out during this game. Well, I'll show you exactly where that happens, but either way, yes, that is the caveat of this tour. So it's a regular Gen 9 through 7 OU best of 3. However, you're playing with your partner. So on the opposite side, our opponents. Oh, also, this is the top 8. Go check my streams if you haven't. They're great series I had with my boy Star. I think it was like 8 series or something to get up to this point. Now, finally, we're in the top 8 quarterfinals of the $1,000 money tournament. So our opponents on the other side, the username is Zizan2. Anyways, the opponent, these comprised of 2 players. Tricking, who is a player from Smogon that I've only played this guy twice, but I always remember when I played someone. I played him in 2014 and I played him in 2018, but these are like random ass games. So I have never really played him, but I have seen his games in the past. He's a proficient player. He's been playing like as long as me. So this guy, I know he's pretty good in Gen 6 through 9 OU. And then his partner is a player named Flavio, which I was not familiar with at all. I have not ever seen this guy play, so I wasn't sure exactly what to expect. However, we're in the top 8, so I know that, you know, there's no funny business to get to the top 8, especially when you're this close to winning the prize. Also, this is a winner takes all tournament. Not even second place in this tournament gets any money. So you have to win this tournament basically to make it worth your while. And to get to this position here, this was like 2 months of playing through best of 3s and grinding. So nobody wants to lose at this stage. So I knew they were going to come in with some serious plays, and we were going to have to come with some serious plays as well. So the date of this battle, hold on, let me scroll down and see. December 8th. Okay. December 8th was the day of this battle. Makes sense. Hold on. Let me make sure the dimensions are good. Okay, perfect. Right. So December 8th. So we had this match about a month ago, which is why the teams kind of look old. This is pre-DLC. There was no Raging Raikou. There was no Entei. There was no Petchorant. None of that. This is December 8th, 2023. So this metagame, it looks a little bit more familiar. You see the Zamazenta spam. You see that we have Ogre. Ogerpon is still used a lot today. However, it's definitely gone down. It was definitely spammed more pre-DLC since a lot of the new Pokemon that came out do give Ogerpon a hard time. However, this is our team. Let's break it down. So if you're looking at the team, it's a pretty basic, like just bulky offense. We have Ogerpon because, in my opinion, Ogerpon at this point in the metagame, back in December last month, I thought this was the best just attacking Pokemon, breaker, whatever you want to call it. I found it was just so easy to play. I thought Ogerpon was so easy to abuse. It really wasn't hard. You bring this thing in, you click Ivy Cudgel. I mean, the move's not even contact, bro, so you don't have to worry about static. You don't have to worry about Corviknight Helmet, none of that stuff. I mean, this is pre-Skarmory as well. So usually the best wall for Ogerpon is a max defense Zapdos, a Zamazenta, or like an Amoonguss. And we were actually Swords Dance, Zen Headbutt, Adamant, I believe, on this Ogerpon, if I'm not wrong. I think that is what we were, because we were spamming Zen Headbutt, Adamant, but I'm not totally certain. Either way, SD Ogerpon is just a Pokemon I think that was really easy to just use and abuse teams with. If you're able to bring this thing in, defensively it has a great typing, you know, immune to water, resists ground, resists steel. You know, just a nice Pokemon in general. So easy to bring in, easy to attack with. I knew I wanted to keep spamming Ogerpon, and we had brought it in the top 16. I don't think we brought it in the top 32, and it was easy wins every time we brought it. So I figured, you know what? Let's just cook with it again. Rest of the team, King Gambit is King Gambit. I'm not sure what else you really want from us. It's the top 8. We're not going out sad. You got to bring the boss. They got the boss too, right? So King Gambit is just King Gambit. Good synergy, good defensive role on the team. Basically here to take Pulse, Shadow Balls, other stuff like that. Slow King G, just specially defensive Mon, Chilly Reception. The big thing that you need this for is Valiant, so you don't get swept, and also for Zapdos, because otherwise Zapdos with Thunder Wave and 1v1 literally the entire team. FizzDef Zapdos, which is exactly what they have, is a massive nuisance to our team because our Landorus T is also FizzDef and it doesn't have Stone Edge. So that thing gets blown up by Hurricane and cannot touch it. Our Zamazenta is Iron Defense, Terra Fire, so that loses to Zapdos as well. We do have Stone Edge on it, but Stone Edge does piss damage to Zapdos. It does like 45%, and we're still going to get Thunder Waved and 1v1. And then Cinderace, we are max attack, Court Change Libero, which is nice in this matchup because they have no fire resist and they have no water resist, which was something we noticed immediately. I was like, man, what the fuck is this team? However, Cinderace is probably not going to be as much of a threat as Ogerpon is something we realized because Pyro Ball does not 2-hit KO Zapdos and it does not 2-hit KO Clefable. And both of those are known to run Terra Water a lot of the time defensively. So we just figured our ace was going to be a good, way to apply pressure, but it definitely wasn't going to sweep or kill everything on the field because literally they can always go to Zapdos and Clef. We only have 8 Pyro Balls, and between those two Pokemon, they have 16 recovery moves. So we figured we would set this up for a Zamazenta sweep late game. We are Terra Fire. Terra Fire is excellent because you're able to set up on Clefable Moonblast, and if we Iron Defense, well, we're going to beat Zama, we're going to beat Tinglu, we always beat Gambit. It really is just a question of can we beat Iron Valiant. Now, looking at this team, we did not see any removal. So first off, we thought, okay, it's probably going to be Boots for attack Zamazenta, which is common on these hazards-based Tinglu teams. That's basically what you're always going to see. And then we thought the Valiant is either going to be Scarf or it's going to be Boots. That's what we thought off the rip because there is no hazard removal on the team. Gambit we thought was probably Boots as well because, I don't know, I don't like running Gambit without hazard control. And if you do run Gambit without hazard control, I really think you should run Boots. But that's just, I'm saying off team preview, this is what we were expecting. Zapdos, we were going to find out from the battle whether Zapdos had, fully defense EVs or if it was running like a 300 speed set or 301 speed rather to beat Tusk and Golden Go and all that stuff. But other than that, we were pretty confident in the sets. I guess Clefable, we weren't sure what it would be. We were like, okay, perhaps it's Calm Mind Clefable and then it's Double Hazard Lu, or it's Stealth Rock Clefable and it's Spikes Lu so that, you take a little pressure off Lu because sometimes having Lu keep up both hazards, they don't even have like a ghost on this team either. They don't have a gold or nothing. So it was a pretty interesting team. I mean, this is kind of like a structure I would bring to a tournament where you have some really strong guys, some really fast guys, good win condition, but then also your defensive core is just solid. I mean, Clef you can never go wrong with. Zapdos is a beast in the current meta as well because of static. I mean, the current meta right now, the DLC meta, Zapdos is probably the worst it ever was. But pre-new DLC, you guys know what a terror Zapdos was. This guy would paralyze everything. I honestly think this was my least favorite mon to play against. Not Tinglu, not Slowking, this Zapdos right here. Anyways, pretty long intro by me, but you got to break it down. This is serious business, man. The $1,000 tournament. So my boy Star, he's the one who brought this team up because I don't have this team, so shout outs to him. Yeah, so let's hop into it. Never tested the team, but it looked very clear how to play a team like this. I mean, it's U-turn Landorus, U-turn Cinderace, Chili Reception, Slowking into 3 strong guys. I mean, this is like bread and butter, easy to play shit. So let's hop right into it. Agency. So we lead off with Slowking as they lead off with Tinglu. Now, the reason we led off with Slowking is because we see no water resist on their team. We're thinking Ogerpon is a pretty obvious lead. So if Ogerpon would be our lead, we would expect either Clefable to lead off or Zapdos to lead off. Zamazenta could lead off, but Zama is a really aggressive lead for no reason, and you don't want to get rid of your Dauntless Shield for no reason. But regardless, we figure Slowking leads well versus Zama, Zapdos, Iron Val, and Clef. But we're really expecting the Zapdos or the Clef here. Unfortunately for us, they lead off with Tinglu, which means their lead is absolutely correct and our lead is terrible. Now, our Slowking is mostly Spadef, I believe. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is like fully Spadef. So if we take an Earthquake here, it's going to do 80%. We could Chili Reception out, which would then, thanks to Regenerator, put us at like 56%. But it's just not a great play for us to make. If they go for Stealth Rock here, Chili Reception is still a bad play because we want to go into our Ogerpon. So all we would be doing is letting our Ogerpon take extra rocks. We figure, fine, there's a couple possible plays that'll happen here. Rocks, which is unlikely because we have a Cinderace. Earthquake, which is semi-likely because they could expect us to be greedy and go for something like, I don't know, Trick Black Sludge, or, just have defense EVs and go for Chili Reception. If Slowking is physically defensive, Chili Reception's not a bad play because EQ does like 60%. It's negligible damage. But it's because we're specially defensive that we don't want to make a super greedy Chili Reception turn 1. We're gonna end up at like 55%. We're gonna die to 2 Hurricanes later on, and we're gonna have, screwed ourselves over. So we figured the best play for us to do is to go into Ogerpon. Worst case scenario is they go for Ruination. However, we know if we bring in Ogerpon, we are instantly in the offensive. So we go hard into Ogerpon as they go for Earthquake. So this was probably the best case scenario for us. even better than them going for rocks, honestly, because we still have to get that core change off. Them going for EQ was great. They expected us to be greedy off the rip, which was really, really nice. And this kind of sets the tone for the battle, because I was like, okay, that's kind of a... Because, honestly, Earthquake turn 1 is not the best play. I understand why they made it, though. I'm not like, oh, this is a terrible shit play. I understand why they did it. They were trying to read our level of aggression off the rip, and they don't lose that much from this. Either way, we know we get a free Ivy Cudgel. Zamazenta comes in as the initial switch-in, which is fine. I guess if we Swords Danced, they didn't want Zapdos to be in that awful position off the rip, which I totally get. Zamazenta comes in, Quando Rondo, it takes 38%. That basically confirms to us that this is some offensive shit because 38's way too much. And then we see no leftovers on the next turn. So they're going to pull a double into Clefable as we pull a double into Slowking G. Hold on, I'll break this down for you. So the reason we went into Clefable rather than Landorus, we went into Slowking G rather than Landorus. Our Landorus is full physically defensive Helmet, so we could have brought it in if they attacked, got Helmet chip, got up rocks. However, the way we're looking at the battle, that is the most obvious thing we could possibly do, is going Landorus T on a fighting type move. However, Slowking can come in on anything. We know if they're not choice banded, there's nothing they can do that substantial damage to us. Crunch will do like half, which is annoying, but we'll go from there. That's not a big deal. We just switch out and get the regenerator off. However, if they were to clutch something like Close Combat into Helmet Landorus, it's just a devastating position for them to be in. It's only turn 3, so maybe devastating, it might sound like I'm dragging it, but no, it would literally be terrible. Because they take a round to Helmet, leaving Zama at what, 46%. They do like 12% to our Landorus T. We throw up rocks. All in all, it's just an awful play. So we're thinking, okay, we can bring in Slowking G. We don't want to bring in Landorus T, because Landorus T, it's going to lose to Tinglu, and it's going to lose to Clefable. However, on the off chance they bring in Clefable, at least Slowking G will beat that, and the plan works perfectly because they do go hard into Clefable. Now, them doubling into Clefable basically confirms to us that this is Stealth Rock Clef, because that's the only reason that you would so aggressively double into it on turn 3. Because from their perspective, they're thinking, we need rocks up, that Ogerpon is a big-ass threat, let's limit it, let's limit Landorus, etc., etc. So this confirmed to us that this is Rocks Clef. Just, at least we got that out the way. So, it's Rocks Clef. They bring in Tinglu as we go for a Sludge Bomb, and we do get the poison, which is nice. So, we were really happy we went Slowking G there, rather than Landorus T, because if we went Landorus T, it would have been the freest rocks of all time for Clef. We would have got up rocks too, but you're going to see later on that it's knockoff Clef. So, Clef would have just been knocking off Landorus, knocked off Slowking, got up rocks. It would have been a shit situation all around. Fortunately, we get the Sludge Bomb poison, which is nice. We went for Sludge Bomb over Chilly Reception, just in case they stayed in and went for a Greedy Rocks. So, kind of similar to them EQing into our Ogerpon in case the greedy play comes out, but we actually get rewarded for our greedy play, so it's pretty fortunate that we got the poison. We Chilly Reception here because it's pretty likely they won't EQ now that we've gotten the poison. They're going to be scared of getting turns wrong, especially getting whittled down. We also don't think the Clef is going to be some Wish Stealth Rock shit. And then them going for Spikes over Stealth Rock absolutely confirms our suspicions of this being Rock's Clef. Ogerpon comes in here on the Spike, takes a little bit of chip. Again, though, this team has no water resist. This is poisoned, so it's not going to Terra and just trade with Ogerpon. That would be terrible for them to waste Terra here. Like, that makes no sense. And the way we're playing this game always is Terra, Fire, Zamazenta can win in the late game if we chip Val, we chip Zap, and then these three, they'll just lose to Terra, Fire. So that's how we're playing. Anyways, we bring this in and we go for a Ivy Cudgel on the switch. It does 69% because we get a crit. Now, that crit is damn fortunate because 69% means that we probably... No, we do around 46%, right? Because 46 times 1.5, which is what critical hit damage is 69%. So if we do 45, that means we do not 2-hit KO this without terraing. I don't know if we would have terrored on turn 5. I don't know if that was our game plan. I don't think we would have. I think we would have played a little bit more patient. But maybe we would have Terra Watered. I don't know. But because we got a critical hit there, we basically take that out of their hands. We know we can click Ivy Cudgel again. Even if they do Terra Dragon or Terra Water, more likely than not you see Terra Water on Zapdos, but I mean, you could see Terra Dragon. I don't know. This team's hella weak to Ogerpon, which explains why Zapdos is literally max. It only does that much with a crit if I think it's max, because, dude, this is a crit 120 base power move. It's 120 because, remember, Ogerpon's ability gives it the 1.2x, so fairly sure that Zapdos is just max Fizz Def. But we get a crit. Point is, now they're in a shitty position because we're free to click Ivy Cudgel. We don't have to worry about it not to it KOing anymore because of the crit. High crit move, but now we've definitely been fortunate so far because Sludge Bomb Poison into critting this has put us in a really nice spot. 2 of their walls are really just on a timer already. Spike is up, but I mean, we have an Ace for that. Ace outspeeds 4 of the 6 Pokemon because we're playing under the impression Valiant is Scarf for now. That's what we thought. However, we were also like pretty confident it could be Boots. We were split between the two. When you have Zamazenta speed control, it's like Scarf Val could kind of be overkill just because Zama is so fast already. But Boots Val, you see this a lot on removal-less structures with Encore and stuff like that, just for Manaphy. Manaphy could be a threat for this team. So Boots Encore was something, you know, we thought that could be it too. Either way, because of the 69%. They switch out here and bring in Zamazenta, wanting to preserve the Zapdos, thinking that they would be able to get a roost off with it later, maybe on Slowking, Landorus, Mind Game, Gambit, Za, whatever the case is, and they end up switching to Zama. That's great for us because Zama has already exhausted Dauntless Shield, and it's at 8%. Now here, we were discussing whether we should click Ivy Cudgel again, because again, CCing into Landorus T is so obvious. Like, it's such a bad play for them to let their Za die immediately. Plus, them doubling into Za shows us that they're committed to keeping every Pokemon, which I don't know if Zap, like, keeping it was the right play, but after seeing Zama live, I was like, okay, I understand exactly what they're doing, because they think they can get off an attacks with this later, which, it just depends on what your game plan is. So we're kind of just trying to figure out, okay, what strategy are they going with? Because when they kept the Zapdos, we were like, damn, we're chipping the whole team. Like, this looks like we're about to be in a really good situation with our Zamazenta very soon. Zapdos is in Stone Edge range. Like we said, Terrafire beats Clef. Their own dog is at 8%. We just body slam that shit, or body press. We just need the Val chipped. And also, Tinglu is poison, so even if it's like Terra Poison Lu, or like Terra Ghost, or something that's anti-Zama, still poison, so it doesn't beat us. We go for Ivy Cudgel. Anyways, we decide to go into our Landers here. We make the safe play because we're like, dude, it's just too enticing. We do have a helmet. What if? However, pretty scrub play to go Landers. It was very obvious what they were going to do. We were kind of feeling greedy, though, because we were like, dude, let's just get our rocks up, though, because they have a spike up. We don't want this to piss us off for the remainder of the game. So we brought our Landers. However, Clefable's in, and that's just annoying all around. We are going to U-turn out because we're like, okay, we know this is a Rocks Clef, and we also don't want Landorus' helmet knocked off yet, and we also just don't want to take a Moonblast in case he wants that. All of the possibilities of what Clef could do to Landorus are not enticing. It's better to just bring in Slowking. If he wants to go for Rocks, well, then we'll have a Rock and a Spike up versus us. We're going to court change that shit away at some point, and it's going to be worse for them. We don't need to play a game where, you know, we're putting hazards up on their side, because if they put hazards on our side, we've already realized that Cinderace is able to court change on most of this, and hazards only really hurt Ogerpon. That's the big one we have to worry about. So they knock off on the switch to our Slowking as we U-turn, which, okay, understandable, kind of annoying because we were Boots, but whatever. Now here, I think we go for a Chilly Reception as they go for a Stealth Rock. Great prediction, expecting us to try and make the aggressive play. Sludge Bomb seemed too free into Gambit and Tinglu. So, I mean, for them rather, like, right, if they go to those two and we Sludge Bomb, it's not good at all. Like, we don't want to lose all our momentum like that. They have hazards up too. They have a spike up. So if we're forced to switch like all over the place based on their game, it's a tough position for us. We need that spike off. So we thought, okay, let's Chilly. If they go into Tinglu to get up rocks or whatever, then we can continue to keep up momentum. But they make a great read, go right for Stealth Rock. If we Sludge Bombed, it would have been a great spot for us because we would have done at least 65-70% and stop this thing from being able to click soft boiled. But they made a great read and they're able to put rocks up, and we're like, this is kind of a shitty situation now. So the only mon we have that can scare Clefable out is King Gambit. Cinderace, I already told you guys in the beginning, Cinderace, even if it's max attack, it does not do anything to Clef with Pyro Ball. It does like 42%. It does nothing. So you lose. You lose all your Pyro Ball PP, and that shit will knock you off. That shit will maybe T-Wave you. At this point, we don't think it's T-Wave. Stealth Rock, knockoff, Moonblast, plus Soft Boiled or Moonlight, whatever the recovery move is. That's likely what this is going to be. So we go to King Gambit because we're like, dude, whatever. He has no switch into Iron Head. Zapdos is low. Let's cause some pressure. We bring in our Gambit. Our Gambit is lefties? No, our Gambit's Lum. Okay, Lum Gambit. This team is extremely weak to Will-O-Wisp Dragapult. In fact, Will-O-Wisp Dragapult 6-0 is our team, so I understand why it's Lum Gambit. We go for a Swords Dance. They make a great play and Moonblast, expecting our Swords Dance. This was a great play because they get free chip this way. Now they're going to go for the Zamazenta sack. That thing is at 8%. They realize, okay, they're not even going to be able to play Zamazenta the way they want as long as we have Helmet Landorus, which is forever a free switch. They decide, fuck it, let's get rid of Zamazenta. We'll go from there. But the Moonblast was a really good play because if we Iron Head the Clef there, we do like 80%. And then that shit is low and that's great for us. But because we SD'd, now we took a 30% and it's just shitty. Iron Val comes in here. Now, Iron Val coming in made me think, okay, is this Specs? Or is this going to Terra Fairy Moonblast? One of the two is happening. Because if it's Boots or Scarf Val, Moonblast does not kill us at 52. Unless we're 0 HP, which they don't know that. Well, No, they do know we're not 0 HP because they were literally faster with their clef. So when we saw this, it was like, okay, two possible things are happening. Terra Fairy or it's Specs. That's it. Because otherwise, why the fuck would you go into this and just sack it? That doesn't make sense. So we're thinking, okay, this is likely one of the two situations happens. If they turn Fairy, Terra's exhausted, and with Zamazenta out the way and Zap low, we can Pyro Ball and scare Zapdos, and we can also Court Change for free on just everything. So we're thinking, okay, if Gambit dies, he dies. We'll Court Change though, and the only way we die is if this is Specs or this is Terra Fairy. I was thinking this is for sure Terra Fairy boots, and in my head I was like, fuck yeah, we're just gonna exhaust Terra. Let's see what happens. They go for Moonblast and KO us, confirming Specs. So not as great as we would have liked. Would have been better for them to exhaust Terra, but whatever. It is what it is. Gambit goes down, but we do get rid of the Zama, so it wasn't the worst. We could have played this Gambit better, but it is what it is. So Gambit, surprisingly, is our first Mon down. I know you don't really see that usually, but it was all for the best. You'll see. So in comes our Cinderace. Now we know this is Specs, and we are offensive Cinderace. If we click Court Change on Moonblast, Moonblast is going to do 95% to us. We're not Blaze, we're Libero. So then after we Court Change, we're going to be a normal type, right? So we're going to take the neutral Moonblast. It's going to do 95%, and then we're not even going to be able to kill this with any move, because we're a normal type. Pyro Ball is going to do like 40%. So we know for sure Pyro Ball is the play here, no matter what. Because if they want to be greedy and expect a Court Change, they're going to be in a shitty situation, because we're going to be at half HP, and they're going to be at like 30. If they go into Clef on Pyro Ball, we know they can soft boil the next turn, but we're still going to Court Change on the soft boil. So no matter what, Pyro Ball is the play. There is no Court Change. So we go right for Pyro Ball, as they do stay in, hoping to catch us on a Court Change, I think, or wanted Chip. Maybe they wanted Chip for Sucker Punch. Probably wanted Chip for Sucker Punch. Maybe. I don't know. I wouldn't have stayed in. I would have just gone my Clef and just rocked back up. But we get a Pyro Ball burn, which is lucky as balls, because now this thing is on a timer for free. So they Moonblast, and it does 47, which is fine. Honestly, it didn't do as much as I thought. I thought that shit was going to 2-hit KO because we're 0 HP and Val is so strong. But, I mean, Cinderace is still a 500 BST starter. Guy's heat. So, we tank that. Here we go for a Pyro Ball again. There is no reason for us to Court Change. Like, there's no reason. If Clef comes in, here's what I told you, by the way, that it does nothing. 41's literally jack shit when you have leftovers, healing you another 6. So net is 35%, jack shit. However, softball is forced here. Finally, we can get these bitches off the field. Court Change, go. So Court Change goes off. That's perfect, because now the Valiant is also on a timer. Valiant getting burned, though, is great, because now Val gets 1 attack off after a spike in rocks. If he wasn't burned, he would have gotten 2 attacks off, right? Because we did 73, and then rock and spike. Actually, no, I think he still gets 1 attack off. The burn matter that much? It still mattered, but like, wasn't like that crazy. No, but it mattered though. Let me not. Because I know if I was in that position, I would be mad as shit, and I would have definitely justified a way that I would have came back with my Valiant. So I'm not even going to say it didn't matter, because it mattered. So we bring in Ogerpon here as they go for Moonlight on the Court Change, which was always happening. I already discussed why that was happening. Ogerpon comes in on the Stealth Rock, because we're thinking, okay, we just put hazards up. They have 100% Clefable. Knockoff might come out, but why would you want to knock off Cinderace before your rocks are up? First, put rocks up. Also, if they put rocks up, rocks stay up forever. There's no Court Change now, because rocks are already up on their side. So we're like, okay, they're going for the full Gambit. Ogerpon's a free switching. Nobody is Moonblasting Cinderace. Nobody is Moonblasting into Slowking G. It'll never happen. So we know Ogerpon's a free switch, and that works out awesome for us. Here we go for a Swords Dance. Now, I'm trying to think if this was the rightest play. We went for Swords Dance because if you Ivy Cudgel into Clef, it does like half. If you Swords Dance, you force the strongest possible hit on something, and you for sure get a KO. So that was our mentality. We were like, let's just SD. Because if the Clef has some crazy Terra, we exhaust that. Like if it's like a resist, like I don't know, fucking Dragon Terra, something like that, for example. We exhaust that. But either way, we want to SD because we want to get the for sure KO on something. Also, we have Power Whip. So I believe +2 Cudgel is a roll on this. Let me check. Okay, so folks, so technology shows us that it does 82.4 to 97.4 if you're Jolly. I feel like we were Jolly just because the damage to Zapdos was so low. Let me check though. Let me check a defensive Zapdos real quick and put us at +0 just to see how much a crit Cudgel would do. 73 to 104, 73 to 86, and we did like 69. So they're like full Fizz Def, like impish type shit. Or maybe not impish, but they're like, it was some hefty invested Zapdos, like maybe like 40 speed EVs max, or it's like timid max defense, something like that. Just trying to, you know, break down why we did what we did. Either way, we know Ivy Cudgel is not popping this clef, but we have a Power Whip though. Right. We have Power Whip, which maybe they won't expect, so they might just stay in here and trade. We figure if we SD, then we can lure them in with the Power Whip afterward. They make a good play here though after the Moonblast, you'll see, and they elect to just sack their Zapdos. Zapdos, it'll die, and the reason we said we could Power Whip into Zapdos, because we considered the fact that, okay, surely Zapdos sack happens, and then Sucker Punch or Valiant comes in. Like, that's, you know, very, very likely. But we were like, even if we get paralyzed, it's like whatever. We're still pretty confident in Dog's ability to win because Val is at 21. That was another big thing from hitting the Pyro Ball regardless of the burn. Once Val got down to 21, 27%, our Zama comes in and just blows everything up. We're still Terra Fire, which means we beat Clef. We get +6 and we blow it up with Press. So we're thinking, okay, this is a perfect situation. If we Power Whip into Zapdos and kill it, great. We miss Whip, which is actually more beneficial for us because we avoid any potential static, and we go for a Ivy Cudgel on this turn. However, they switch out their Zapdos, which kind of sucked. We would have wanted to kill the Zapdos more than we wanted to kill the Ting Lu. Either way, though, it's fine. We still force a kill, which was the whole point of bringing in the Ogerpon. We are in the end game situation now, right? Where both sides are trying to get their win condition into the best possible position. That's King Gambit for him, and that is Zamazenta for us. Or sorry, King Gambit for them. So Valiant comes in. Now, Shadow Ball or Moonblast is coming out. That's a fact. Shadow Ball is more likely just because Slowking pivot is so fucking obvious. We don't want to go Slowking though, because why would we want King Gambit's dumbass to get a free switch? We're thinking, okay, we can just go Ace, I believe. And we don't really care if we keep Ace or not. Ace does end up dying. I mean, we could have kept Ace. I'm trying to think if this was the right play, because Shadow Ball was super obvious. I remember even we were discussing, we're like, I mean, obviously it's Shadow Ball. But, I mean, there is no switch. If Zama takes 35-40 from Shadow Ball, that's a horrible choke on our part. We don't want that shit getting chipped. We need that shit to be at full HP when it starts setting up. Lander's T, that's the late game Gambit counter. Even if Gambit Terras, we're still Helmet. We still do chip. We still live +2. So, I think honestly, we were like, Cinderace is the most expendable. Even if they have no Power Ball switching, we don't have Wisp, so Gambit Okos. Clef beats us. This dies very soon. And then Zapdos, we can manage Zapdos among the other guys. Like Cinderace, we figured this is fine. Shadow Ball does end up coming out and it does kill us. I don't know if that's a roll or not. I don't think it is though. So we die. That's that. But they also die. And now I think we bring in Ogerpon. Right. We bring in Ogerpon because King Gambit is not coming in until the very end. That is a fact. King Gambit's not pulling up till the end. You need all your deads for King Gambit to have the best shot at sweeping. So it's going to be Zap or it's going to be Clef. Either way, this Cudgel coming out. Do we Cudgel or Whip? We Cudgel because we don't want to miss Whip. And judging by that 47%, we were for sure Jolly. So at least that's out the way. So we weren't, so I guess we weren't our Adamant Zen set. We were probably just Jolly Knock or Jolly Play Rough or some shit. But yeah, we're Jolly for sure. Zama comes in. It's time for us to literally do exactly what I've been preaching since the first turn. Why isn't this playing? Right. So we turn Fire type and we get to business. As they go for a Moonlight, they have already revealed to be Magic Guard, so we know it's not no unaware shit. We get right to it. +6, go. Iron Defense, they knock off our leftovers. Best play they can make. Go for Stone Edge here. Okay, I think my boy Star Master disconnected, like... I think he disconnected on this turn. Because I remember I Stone Edged, and that was all me. He disconnected on turn 24, because he's overseas, he's in Asia. He was at, like, some family's crib, and he's like, they got the worst internet ever. And I remember I'm chatting to him, and there's no response, and I'm like, we're at 30 seconds left. So I'm like, oh, bro's cooked. Like, if... Like, I'll show you guys, actually. Hold on. So, you can see we have 30 seconds. You guys know, my timer doesn't even go below 270 in most of these games, for real, because, you know, I'm stupid. Now I'm playing. But really my timer it literally never shows up, and even his timer barely shows up as well, my boy Star. So I was like, where's my guy? Did he disconnect? And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to lock in. And so I instantly lock in and click Stone Edge because I'm like, okay, we're +5. Oh shit. No, I don't want their point of view, I want mine. Okay, I almost short circuited when I showed you guys the chat. It almost messed up my dimensions for good. All right, I'm back, I'm locked in. So we go for a Stone Edge here, we crit, which is nice. Does 36 instead of 24, weak as balls, because it's a max Fizz Def Clef. I went for Stone Edge because I thought Body Press was too obvious, and I thought that they kept the Zapdos specifically to static us. So I was like, surely Zapdos might come in, and I can Stone Edge. And even if it doesn't work, it's fine, because they've already used 6 Moonlights, or 2 Moonlights, they have 6 Moonlights left. We can outstall the Moonlights, this is whatever. So go for Stone Edge, it does 36, because I crit, which is actually quite fortunate. And... what's it called? Moonblast for 15, and now Body Press is doing 44, so we're like, okay, game's done. Like, Zapdos is gonna die to Press. Their most, like, the best way for them to win this game is for them to static and then get the greatest luck of all time, but it just looks completely goobed for them, right? Body press doing 44. This thing cannot beat us 1v1. Zama looks completely poised to sweep. And this is what we wanted since the beginning, right? We were always setting it up for this. We noticed that they were kind of weak to this. We have Stone Edge. We're actually Iron Defense 3 attack. But then, Terra Ghost. And, you know, I had not even seen this before. I have not seen this before. Terra Ghost is, like, so crazy. When I saw this, I was like, oh, you sons of bitches. So Terra Ghost. So my boy Star is still not here. So when I saw this, I had like that anime like antagonist face where I'm like, it can't be. Yeah, literally though. So Ghost, the bro was, I was like, there's no way. So I was like, it's fine though, because we are 3 attack. So you already know what's coming out, that big crunch. However, you know from crit Stone Edge, that crunch is gonna do like 37, 36, 37. So it does 37. However, that's still great chip. So he's doing net 13, we're doing net 31 on average due to their leftovers. However, crunch has a great secondary effect, which immediately kicks in. Now here is where I'm like, dude, we have the defense drop. You can't stay in on crunch. Now's your chance. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Go to that Zapdos and fish for 30%. Also, because we defense dropped, Stone Edge is relatively free. It's still going to do about 35, 36 provided I hit. So I was like, it's still relatively free. Moonlight has to come from them, or a switch to Zapdos. There's no other play coming here. It's Moonlight, switch to Zapdos, or absolutely insane switch to Gambit, which is still garbage for them. If they were to do some crazy shit like Gambit, that's terrible. So Stone Edge is extremely free here, because the only plays coming from them are Moonlight, which puts him at 100% no matter what. So might as well Stone Edge, even if I miss, it's fine. And if they go Zapdos, we avoid static. They do decide to go Zapdos, and I hit the Stone Edge on the switch, and that thing goes down. And then as soon as this happened, my boy Star Master reconnected, and he literally put in the chat, bro, you're shiesty. I said, I'm nice, I'm nice. And he's like, I finally got good internet. He's like, I went to the house next door and took their internet. I'm like, nice, let's lock in. So we knocked that thing out. In comes Clef. We start spamming Crunch. They start spamming Moonblast. 4 more Moonblasts to knock us out. However, they have to avoid Crunch defense drops, and also keep enough Moonlights to get back to full. 2 Moonlights left. It's okay. Terra has been exhausted, so this Landers T can win. However, we're Earth Power Landers T, which means it does like 20% to Clef. It's good for King Gambit, but it does 20% to Clef. Either way, they Moonblast again. Not a big deal. We're going to keep spamming Crunch. We haven't got a defense drop since the first one, but it does not make a difference because Moonlight is finally out. We Crunch again. Moonblast does another 15, so they get a decent roll with that one. But again, it doesn't make a difference. We're just going to Crunch again. Do 39% as they're going to Moonblast. We live with 1%, which is actually excellent for us because it allows us to intimidate the Gambit because our Zama's going to live. So that was really good. Here, Crunch happens. They should have gone into Gambit here on Crunch because they reveal to be Boots Gambit. So they should have gone Gambit on Crunch and then gone for Sucker Punch if they're Boots. Because if they do that, then they can sack the Clef into King Gambit and they don't get intimidated. They would have maximized the odds that way. So they really should have gone Gambit, I think, on turn 39. We're never body pressing in any situation. Maybe they thought we could body press because we thought Landers T would live, but we're not going to make that Giga Brain play that requires them to make another Giga Brain switch. Like, we're not doing none of that because Landers T can for sure get an intimidate from the plays we're making. But from their position, they should have for sure gone into this, in my opinion. That's what I would have done. And while me and my boy Star were discussing, I'm like, surely they're going to pivot Gambit, but it doesn't change anything for us. And he was like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, so fuck it. But no, they just stay in. So Sucker Punch comes out, knocks us out. I guess from their perspective, they have to crit anyways, but I think they would have maximized odds if they did what I said. I don't know, though. Maybe. No, because you take a Crunch, which is like 11, 10, 11%, probably 10. You kill the Zama. Landers comes in, you sack Clef. You still die to Earth Power plus 2 helmet hits. And you have to take 2 helmet hits. Unless you crit Sucker Punch. Let me think of it. Whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna tell you what happens here. Cataclysm comes out, does some damage. Sucker Punch comes out, won't kill us, and we knock it out with Earth Power. So that is gonna be that crazy close battle. We had some good ass calls. We had a pretty regular matchup, I would say. I would say ours was like 60-40 them, in my opinion. I think our win cons were better than their win cons. They had threats, but defensively their team was a lot less sturdy than ours, and our offensive guys came in and attacked way more than theirs on average. Especially our Ogre went like crazy. Crit on Zap was big for us, for sure, because forced them to play a different game. even though they recovered from that really well by bringing in Clef, forcing Stealth Rock. But us keeping Landorus T healthy ended up really helping because King Gambit was always a big threat. Especially once Zama went fire, we knew Gambit was going to be a threat. And I mean, they played it well. Kept the Terra Ghost on Clef, which they absolutely have to do in this matchup, otherwise they lose. So perfectly played by them and us, I'd say. I mean, definitely not perfectly. Both sides you can make some better plays, but the shit went well for us. Very satisfied. So 1-0 we win in Gen 9. That's going to be that. Sorry for that goober long narration. I know it was like 1 minute a turn or something, but I have to explain everything. The timers actually, for us, goes low in this, because when I'm just playing by myself, right, and I'm playing in a tournament, I'm just playing by like impulse. Like I just click how I feel for the most part. My boy Star that I'm playing with is pretty similar. He's a very impulse player. And that's why you guys got to go back and see some of these streams and see some of the BO3s we had, because we had some crazy games. We had some schmixos, like God plays. And then we also had some times where we got rolled. But anyways, game 1, 1-0 versus our opponents, Tricking and Flavio. So on to Generation 8 OU, which is next up. So game 2, if we lose this, the series goes to 1-1, and game 3 will be played in Sun and Moon OU. However, if we win this game, it's over. We win 2-0, and we move on to the semifinals of the $1,000 tournament. Like I said, winner take all in this bitch. So everybody is playing their heart out. We bring a crazy HO team. This team, you've probably recognized it from Generation 8, if you were playing towards the end of the generation, right before Generation 9 came out. This was a pretty common structure. Rillaboom plus Blaziken, that needs no introduction in Gen 8. One of the all-time cheapest cores you can run into. Rillaboom gives Blaziken leftovers plus grassy terrain, so it's getting 12.5 back per turn. Basically, a Gliscor with Poison Heal in this bitch. And then you also neutralize the ground weakness and make it neutral. All in all, Blaziken under terrain is really annoying. We also have SD Blaziken and we have SD Weavile. This is a pretty standard offense team. This is like past bulky offense. This is like straight up offense from us. Like, it's not hyper offense because we don't have a designated lead, but in 8 out of 10 games with a structure like this, you lead off with your air balloon Heatran and you put rocks up as soon as possible. This type of team does have issues. Stuff like Slowbro plus other fat shit can be an issue. And when we saw the matchup, we were like, oh dude, we are screwed, because we're playing a pretty annoying balance. We know Skarmory Giga Walls our Garchomp because the Garchomp is Swords Dance Aqua Tail. I don't know why we decided to run Aqua Tail. Every single time I've run SD Chomp, it has been Fire Fang. One time I ran Stone Edge, but even that was like insane. Either way, Aqua Tail is super dicks. Like, I don't know why we had it, but at the time we were like, yeah, this makes sense. I'm trying to think why. Maybe we were afraid of Hippo, but this team is not particularly weak to Hippo. I don't know. I really don't know why we had Aqua Tail, but we saw the matchup and we were like, fuck, why don't we have Fire Fang? Next up is Rillaboom. Rillaboom is Swords Dance, Superpower, Wood Hammer, Grassy Glide. This thing is okay, just because it forces Rillaboom, not forces Rillaboom, it forces Dragonite in as the defensive or offensive countermeasure. If you go Skarm on +2 Superpower, you take 70%, and then our Weavile will beat you, or our Garchomp will beat you. So we would love for Skarmory to come in and us to trade our Rillaboom into it. In fact, we were always hoping that that would happen in this game. The next up is Blaziken. Blaziken is just Swords Dance Protect. This guy is here to punch holes in the opponent's team. Blaziken honestly doesn't have that bad of a matchup versus these 5. It's just Shithead Dragonite that was the big nuisance. Dragonite was going to be the issue, because Dragonite after one dance kills the entire team with Earthquake and Ice Punch except for Weavile. So that was something we knew we had to be really careful of. Zero Aura is also really annoying because it outspeeds every single member of the team. We have no Scarfer. It's also faster than +1 Blaziken, and it can beat up everybody with knockoff CC Plasma Fist. Like a bulk up Zero Aura, if it's able to get the bulk up off, will cook us. But we were pretty sure bulk up would be tough for them to get. But it could happen on like Weavile, or it could happen, like, we knew we had to stay worried about this. Blissey is Blissey. We know it's going to wall Heatran. We know it's going to completely invalidate our Specs Dragapult. It's probably going to go for Stealth Rock. It's probably going to go for T-Wave. That's what we were thinking. Skarm is Skarm. When you see it with Bliss, I mean, this is the OG, brand. They got Skarm Bliss. Like, what else are you expecting? Skarm, it just walls a lot of our dudes. Puts up max layers. Our team has no removal, and every single Pokemon is weak to Spike. Yes, our only Mon that is not weak to Spikes is Balloon Heatran. When I tell you this is some greedy offense, like, this is the greedy ass offense. Not even no boots. Weavile has a life orb, bro. Like, this is a greedy team. So when we saw Skarm, we were like, great. If we ever let that thing in and Spike goes up, we are playing a horrible game because all of our Pokemon come in at 87.5. Heatran in the back. Heatran exists for him to potentially have something that can check slow Rillaboom and also a backup to Dragapult. It also will be able to take a Life Orb knock from Weavile. +2 though, maybe not. We weren't sure what the Heatran spread was going to be, Fizdef or Spadef. However, it looked more Spadef to us just given the build and the fact that Skarm is on the team. It alleviates a lot of the need to run any Fizz Def, anti, like Scarf Card or something like that Heatran. Because, back in Gen 8, I did use Fizz Def Heatran a couple of times just to like Flame Body Fish on Weavile and whatnot. But this team is not that weak to Weavile, man. You have a Zero Aura, you have a Clef, and you have a Skarm. Like, it's light work. And then Clef in the back. So this structure they're using, I know for a fact has been used in tournament before, but I didn't remember the sets like fully. However, we know for sure the Dragonite's going to be DD Ice EQ, because whenever I see Dragonite on a Blissey team, it's always that set. So I was very confident it was for sure going to be that. Zero Aura can either be Taunt 3 attack, Volt Switch Toxic, or Bulk Up. I was thinking this was going to be Taunt, and I told my boy Star, I'm like, dude, I think it's Taunt. So that's what I was telling him. I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's Taunt. Because I played a team like this before with Victini over Heatran in tournament, and it was a Taunt Zero Aura. Blissey just is going to be Thunder Wave Rocks, Thunder Wave Aroma, Thunder Wave Wish. We know it's Thunder Wave though, because that's the only reason you use this fat ass in this game. Skarmory is Skarmory. Spikes, Whirlwind, Press, it's the regular. Heatran, we weren't honestly sure what to expect, but I was thinking, okay, if Blissey has Rocks or if Clef has Rocks, then Heatran could be Magma Trapper. But because they have such a strong defensive core here, I was sure that the Clef was going to be Calm Mind, and probably Calm Mind Flamethrower, just to alleviate some pressure versus other spikers. Ferrothorn beats a lot of this team, so Flame Clef beats that. Also, Flame Clef is a nice trade into Kartana, because Kartana won't kill Clef unless it's Choice Band, Smart Strike. Anything else it's not going to kill. Even regular Smart Strike, you guys know that shit only does like 70 to 80. So Clef can just Flamethrower, trade, come back in later on a slower guy, get back to full HP. So we were thinking Calm Mind Clef for sure. There were just a couple sets we weren't totally certain, which was Heatran, Blissey, and then basically Zero Aura. But Skarm, Clef, and D-Knight were all pretty, obvious. So looking at the matchup, we knew we had to really worry about hazards going up. Once Spikes and Stealth Rock go up, it's going to be very difficult. All of our Pokemon are weak to Spikes and Stealth Rock. Yeah, I mean, Garchomp resists rocks, but the rest of these guys get cooked by every hazard. Like, it'd be a bitch. We know Zero Aura is scary too, but we can scare it out with Rillaboom. We can scare it out with Garchomp. Our Heatran's Flame Body too, which means if Zero Aura goes for too many knockoffs type shit, we can always go for the burn. However, we thought Blissey or Clef, one of those joints is gonna have Aroma. That was pretty, we were pretty sure about that. You don't want two of these joints and then neither has like aromatherapy. So let's start the game off. We're thinking, okay, Heatran lead is fine, beats most of their team, so it's not the worst. The worst case scenario is they lead their own balloon Heatran into ours, because we can't break their balloon. Best case scenario is they lead like Zero Aura, because we automatically get rocks up. Maybe they Volt Switch, but it's not the end of the world. So we lead off with Heatran. I mean, I'm just trying to think like what else were our potential leads in this position, because Blissey leading off, we were like, this is okay. It's not the end of the world, but it's not what we wanted at all either. But the only other potential leads from us were Dragapult, which is a terrible lead. We would have U-turned out, and that's stupid. Garchomp, which would have been an incredible lead if we caught this. But I mean, maybe Garchomp was a lead. I don't know, maybe Garchomp wasn't a bad lead at all. The thing is though, our Garchomp's not Fire Fang, so off the rip it's tough. Also, Garchomp's not a good lead if this is Toxic, because he'll Toxic and then switch. So either way, we were like, we need to be on the offensive first. I think that's why we overall ended up going with Heatran, because even if Heatran leads off poorly versus something, Rocks going up, at least we can start pressuring. We know if they start leading off with Skarm and Spiking or whatever, we're automatically in a behind position. We need to play aggressive. This matchup is not in our favor at all. So turn 1, we see a Blissey versus a Heatran. Now, we're Balloon Heatran, and that's important. When you see a Balloon Heatran on this structure, it usually alerts the opponent that this Heatran is going to be some taunt speed variant on Heatran. That is almost always true when you see Balloon Heatran, because if you are Balloon Heatran, you need some anti-ground technique. So usually that's a little bit of Speed EVs, usually that's Will-O-Wisp, something like that. On average, these Heatrans are Magma, Rocks, Taunt, and then a last move. I'm pretty sure our last move is Wisp, and we are Mono Magma, which is my favorite set to run. It's kind of fishy, because you can run into Heatran and then you're walled, but a lot of Heatrans run Flash Fire in this gen anyways, so I really like that set. Coming in on a balloon on Garchomp and then Will-O-Wisping them as they try to break your balloon with Scale Shot or some dumb shit is so good for a team like this, which is weak to everything. Balloon Heatran can get off a lot of surprise wisps. It also gets off a really good surprise wisp on Dragonite. So that's just something we really like. So they lead off with Blissey. Now, I told y'all before, if Blissey's leading off, or Blissey is used in Generation 8, it's always going to be Thunder Wave. We're thinking, damn, Blissey leads, Stealth Rock, Thunder Wave off the rip? Okay, let's see. So we're thinking we could taunt here. However, Taunt is really obvious, especially because they see the lead Heatran. Us leading Heatran on a balloon, in their opinion, it's damn, they want them rocks up turn 1. Our opinion is damn, they want them rocks up turn 1. Taunt is too obvious. It's too obvious. So we're discussing and we're like, dude, let's Magma Storm. I don't think they're going to Thunder Wave. Taunt on Thunder Wave is just not great for them. Let's just go for Magma Storm. I think they're going to try to break our balloon first instead. It'll help Dragonite and it'll help potential Earth Power Heatran. So we go right for the Magma Storm, expecting them not to go for the Thunder Wave, and it works out perfectly for us. In fact, better than we had even planned, because we get Flame Body off the rip. So taking some of the luck from last game right immediately to this one, we get the 30% burn chance. It only does 6% burn per turn. However, that's good chip, especially because Blissey is not leftovers, it's boots. So this stops us from having to do any Will-O-Wisp stuff, and yeah, we immediately trap the Blissey. We get an extra 12.5 from the chip, and we get an extra 6%. And we think immediately, holy shit, they really did Seismic Toss. They didn't T-Wave. It was a big play for us to make, but now we're in a great spot. And now here, this play 2, turn 2, this is a god play. Turn 2, this, I'm going to tell you right now, we know the Thunder Wave's not coming out. It's too obvious. It's too obvious from them to Thunder Wave here as we now go for Taunt. We know they registered turn 1 as us predicting them not to click T-Wave. And now we're going to give them credit again to not click T-Wave because Taunt is too obvious, and we're going to go for our rocks, as they really do go for Seismic Toss. And now here, now that we haven't gone for Taunt in 2 turns, we know they're thinking, shit, it's not Taunt. No, but we are Taunt. Life is good. They try to finally go for Thunder Wave. You see that? Not even softball, Thunder Wave. That's how you know we knew these dudes had Thunder Wave. So honestly, we read the shit out of them off the lead with this. Like, that was just, we caught the Blissey crazy. But the burn helped a lot for sure. It's an extra, what? 1, 2, 3 turns, 18.75% of chip. This would have been at 45. We also hit our next Magma. So honestly, the first 4 turns of this battle, we were like, wow, this is really, really good. Like, this was not expected at all. Heatran should not win this game. I mean, win this 1v1. If Blissey T-Waves turn 1 on Heatran, it's over with. Heatran loses. Even with all this burn shit, we still lose. So perfect, perfect, perfect. We end up knocking out the Blissey. Heatran goes very, very low. But, I mean, Rocks Up and a dead Bliss means Shadow Ball is super free. Their best switch in is Heatran. So we were like, great. Now Dragapult somehow has a great chance to win this game already. Let's go. In comes Zero Aura. We're thinking, okay, Plasma or Knockoff. Hopefully they go for a CC. We're thinking CC because it hits Chomp the hardest, and Knockoff might not kill us if we're Fizz Def. In fact, it does not kill us if we're Fizz Def. They make a great play and go for Plasma Fist because Plasma Fist is not contact on Flame Body. I considered this. I was like, maybe we go Chomp because why would they bring in Zero Aura just to get Flame Bodied? They could go Dragonite instead and kill us with EQ and avoid all of that. I was like, why would you go Zero Aura? They're going to go for Plasma Fist. But bringing in Chomp on CC or Knockoff would be a terrible fucking play, especially on Knockoff because you take free 30, lose our leftovers. It'll just be a terrible situation all around. Sure, Skarmory does beat our Garchomp. They don't know at this point that we are Aqua Tail and not Fire Fang. But if Garchomp's reliable recovery is leftovers, there's a lot of turns we can get that leftovers chip back. Bringing it in on Heatran, bringing it in on Zera, you know, just having it in while Skarm roosts. All that shit makes a difference. We get HP back. So we don't want to lose lefties on Chomp and give up momentum for no reason. We also don't know this. This could be play rough or some shit. Either way, Heatran did his job. We figured we don't have removal anyway. Spikes going up. Yes, we could play the whole Magma Storm game, but we don't even have Earth Power. So their Heatran walls us. We don't need our Heatran. We got more fortunate than we expected versus the Blissey. We made some fire plays that ended up working way more than we had ever expected, and we killed the Blissey as a result. And that was not what Heatran was supposed to do. If you showed us this matchup in the beginning of the... Like, if you showed us this matchup at first, we would never have expected Blissey to go out that way. But because we got more out of Heatran than we expected, we were completely fine with throwing that guy out. In comes our Garchomp. Now here, I make a shit call. I said EQ. Shit call. I said EQ because I was like, SD is way too fucking obvious. If we SD on the switch to Skarm, is the game not literally over immediately as we Fire Fang? So I thought, dude, EQ. They're either going to go for a knockoff, a toxic, a CC. They're just trying to chip us so they can kill this with something like Clef Moonblast after or something. And so I was thinking, dude, they're going to CC so they can kill with Clef after. I think that's the play. So I said we should go for EQ. And my boy Star was like, yeah, that's fine. But in retrospect, it was a terrible fucking call to EQ. If Toxic comes out, it is a little annoying. I honestly said EQ more so for the reason that we're walled by Skarm. And I thought even at +2, we're not doing anything with Aqua Tail. But overall, I think EQ was not a good play. If they did stay in, it was the right play, but That is a regret on my part. Because I remember I was the one, I was like, bro, I think that's the play. And he was like, you don't think SD? And I'm like, I think this play's good. And he's like, yeah, I think it's pretty good. And then after it happened, I was like, fuck, I'm terrible. And he's like, no, I think it's fine. But I remember during this turn, I was like, I don't think that was the right call. Either way, EQ into Skarm, in comes Dragapult. Well, Draga's completely free. We have Rocks up, which means Heatran has to take Rocks plus a Shadow Ball on the switch. It's not going to be able to get enough back with lefties. So we go for Shadow Ball here as Heatran does indeed come in. And we see that it's Boots, and then it takes 32. We're like, bro, this is the most max speed F bitch of all time. Now I know for a fact, I think that this Heatran is Rest, and Blissey is Aromatherapy, or the Clef was. But at this point, I was almost certain, like I was 99.9 certain that this was Rest plus Aroma. Because if you're running a Boots Heatran, you're running Rest. Because I've seen this before with Boots Heatran on some fat shit, and they run Rest. So I was like, it's probably Rest. Either way, we're like, fuck it, let's just Shadow Ball again. We don't really have anybody we want to bring into a possible Toxic or whatever the case is. Let's just stay in. Dragapult is less useful than our other guys, except for maybe Rilla. But at this point, let's just keep firing off Shadow Balls. We want to break through as much as we can, give ourselves a position to win with something else. Shadow Ball again as we do another 32 as they miss Toxic. So yeah, that was definitely fortunate because they would have gotten a free 6%. We Shadow Ball again as they decide, okay, let's just get up a Rock since our Heatran didn't hit Toxic. But no, that was a big turn because, look, that's 3 turns, right? That's 3 turns that just went down. 6 plus 12.5 plus 18.75 means Pult is down another 36%. We would have been at 64. So the miss was fucking bad. Like, the Flame Body we got in the beginning, I mean, that's Flame Body. That's 30% chance, plus we got all the turns right. This was just tough for them. The Toxic miss was just overall really shitty. I remember I was like, dang, that's lucky. So in comes Zero Aura here. We're going to switch out into our Garchomp as I believe they go for a knockoff. Yeah, they go for a knockoff, but we can't lose our Pult. Heatran being dead means that now really they have nothing for Shadow Ball. Like, they have nothing. Clef is physically defensive, we know for a fact, because Blissey and Spidef are on the team. There's no way Clef is also going to be random Spidef. So we know Shadow Ball does like 49, 50 to Clef. It's not going to be able to set up on or switch into Shadow Ball at all. God forbid we Spidef drop, then it's really cooked. So they knock off into Garchomp, does 29, which is less than I thought. This shit is garbage. Skarmory comes in as we go for a Swords Dance. Because we EQ'd the first time, we know now Skarm is 100% coming in. So maybe EQing the first time wasn't the worst. It was not the best. It was worse than it was good. It wasn't a 5 out of 10 play. It was like a 3 or 4 out of 10 play. So we go for SD. We Aqua Tail and we crit the shit, which again is lucky. I'm telling you, this was definitely a lucky series for me. The BO3s, I don't be looking like this. Go watch the other series on stream. You'll see how badly we got hacked. So I guess it all culminated in, you know, some good luck on our side this game. Because I can admit it. This was a pretty lucky series for us. Aqua Tail crits. They roosted off anyway. So whatever. We go into Dragapult because we realize this is a completely losing battle. Aqua Tail does jack shit. Dragapult does a free switch. And this is where them missing Toxic mattered. Because we would have been at like 20%. Or like 30. So we go for Shadow Ball here as Zero Aura comes in. Now here, because this takes a Shadow Ball and it's down to 19%, Zero Aura has 2 more hits on a Rough Skin Garchomp. CC, judging by knockoff damage, does not kill Garchomp after the hazards. So from their perspective, Garchomp is easily coming in and it's going to kill them with the Rough Skin recoil in 2 hits. So we know we can call the double here and click Shadow Ball. Even if they want to go for knockoff, we're willing to make this trade, and we were really confident that the double was coming out because attacking into a Chomp sack is too obvious. Our Chomp at this point comes in at like 37, 36% due to the hazards on the field. Chomp's done. Like, this guy's not doing anything. Loses to Skarm, loses to Clef. It's gonna die to, like, this shit's useless. So we knew that they're likely gonna double, expecting the useless sack so they can get some momentum back. I'm not gonna say we didn't get lucky in this game. It's because we got luckier in this game that we can even afford to make this double Shadow Ball, because they're playing in like the back foot. They have to go aggressive. They have to get spikes up. They have to do something, right? They can't just sit here and let us kill all their Pokemon one by one. And this Chomp sack is too obvious from our perspective. So that works out amazing for us. We're able to kill the Skarm. We read that double. In comes Zera again. Now we sack Chomp because Chomp is giga useless. We got the Skarm. We made our play correctly. Into knocks off. Here I said, yo, what if he taunts? Let's go for EQ again. Should have SD'd. Bad play. I don't know why I was so scared. It's because I played a structure like this before that I was like confident in what moves were going to come. But SD was better than EQ on the Switch. I just didn't want them to taunt and then cheese some way. I don't know. SD was better though. Whatever. SD was for sure better. Rillaboom comes in. We just decide to SD. They make a good play and stay in just to click Flamethrower. If we Woodhammer, this dies, but they make a good read that we're not clicking Flamethrower, we're clicking SD. It didn't really matter what we clicked. We expected them to sag Zera, which is why we SD'd. Or we expected them to switch into Dragonite. We didn't expect them to Flame. They just read us by clicking Flame. If we Woodhammer, this died. That was honestly kind of a crazy play. Either way, we're going for Woodhammer. If Dragonite comes in, we don't give a fuck. We just want to break its multi-scale so we can kill it with Ice Shard. It's not E-Speed. They didn't run E-Speed back in Gen 8. That's some Gen 9 shit. In comes Dragonite now. We stay in and we just go for a Woodhammer. I'm pretty sure we're not knockoff. We're Woodhammer, Grassy, Superpower. So our strongest move is to Woodhammer, Superpower either way. We know it's not E-Speed. As long as Dragonite's multi-scale is gone, we can one-hit KO with Ice Shard. Because our Weavile's Life Orb, remember, Ice Shard kills this, even if it's HP invested. But they elect to just go for the Ice Punch. We can bring out our Weavile. Because Grassy Terrain is up, we wall the shit out of this. Ice Punch is resisted, EQ is resisted. We're not worried. Go right for Triple Axle. Knock that thing out in, 2 axles. Because Life Orb plus it's 1 bazillion times effective. And at this point, the game looks really good for us because Triple Axle is going to hit. It's going to do a good 62%. And then at that point, we still have Blaziken in the back who can come in, live +1, what's it called? Live +1 Moonblast and just KO that thing with a +2 Flare Blitz. Or do enough to where Shadow Ball will kill. However, we just hit 3 axles in a row and we knock that shit out. And yeah, we are going to win 2-0 versus our opponents, Tricking and Flavio. I'm going to be honest. Definitely a fortunate series on our part. We got some... I would say this game was the actual, big luck, though. That was the Toxic Mist was crazy. I think if Toxic Mist doesn't happen, they have a much easier path, but they were good sports about it. They said GG's. I don't remember if I acknowledged afterwards that we got lucky, but I remember I told my boy Star Master, I'm like, dude, we definitely got lucky in that one. But, hey, I'm not going to say that we would have lost otherwise. I think we made some great plays in both games, especially this game. Except the EQ turns, we did some good stuff, especially those first few turns on Blissey. Ooh, so... we win 2-0, moving on to the semifinals, which I will be uploading in a couple of days. Let me know, folks, in the comments below what you thought about this tournament content. I know the commentary was crazy, but crazy long, but there was a lot to discuss with this. A lot went into the game planning behind this. Team-wise, we don't really think too much when we pick our teams. We just pick whatever we like playing, and we had been using a lot of balance in Gen 8, or bulkier structures, so I was like, let's go with the hyper offense pick, and then we ran into the worst matchup ever, but... Fortunately, they had a blind Heatran, so I would say the hacks was tough for them, especially with that Toxic Mist. I think it would have gone very differently in the end game. They wouldn't have had to make as many plays as they had to make, when they sacked their Skarm. We were able to make that play because of the luck we got earlier. I can admit that. But plays-wise, nah, I think we were great. This gen, also, we did everything right. Happy with it. On to the semifinals. We will show you guys that soon. Leave a comment. Leave a like. It's tournament time, baby. See you guys soon. Stream later. Probably Radical Red. Goodness. Have a good one. Peace.